Welcome once again. Now let's get talking about
Thank
the
you.
craft of emceeing. How did it start for you?
So I'm going to try and make the story very short, Bottom line is sometime 11 years ago, early January, I was a guest with my family at 2 successive events, weddings. And these were what I would call money no be problem kind of weddings, So everything is
Everything
looking
on fleek,
fantastic.
lights,
There's
decor.
lights in the air. There's serving soup. The band is playing. The groove is on. We're just waiting for the couple, to get into the party, and then we all express our joy and our love to them. And as I'm sure you'd imagine, at that time there was nothing like a professional event MC. So you might get vendors to do your decor and all other things, but when it comes to MC, you usually would count on the couple or their family to bring a cousin, an auntie, a schoolmate, somebody who's not shy to come and host it.
Do that.
And unfortunately, in both circumstances at the time, for those events that I was there, the MCs were not the best.
Yeah.
And so they kind of, poisoned the entire atmosphere. When the MC is bad, even the food you're eating can taste terrible.
Hey.
I'm telling you, even the beautiful decor can lose its sparkle just because the MC puts you in a very, off mood. So that's what happened on those 2 events. And throughout my life, my childhood, I was blessed to have been part of a lot of extracurricular stuff. So I used to do cultural drumming and dancing. I used to do poetry. I used to do plays at church, introduction, opening prayer, that kind of thing. I went to SS. I joined the school choir. I played hockey. I went to university. I went into, spontaneous theater. So I kind of was comfortable in front of an audience. But that particular experience for those 2 events, and it was like this Saturday, and the second one was the following Saturday. So when I went to work, at the time I was working with a consulting firm, when I went to work throughout the week, it just kept tormenting my mind that 2 things. Number one was the couple. I was like, no, for your wedding day, you deserve a better memory, than this. That was number one. So I was really feeling for them. And then number 2, whenever I tend to look at the MC, I would say to myself, if this guy is the only option, I'm sure I can do better,
Yeah.
So it stayed with me that whole week. And the Friday thereafter, I went to work around 7 a.m. I went on Facebook and created a page, Kabutey My MC. I remember, yes, that's it. I just created a page. There was no picture, no video, no write-up. There was just the name. And even the name at the time, I wanted a name that also made a statement.
Okay.
So if Nanaya is talking to Desmond about me, Nanaya will say, hey, Desmond, do you know Kabutey My MC? So she's mentioned Kabutey My MC as my brand name, but in sentence form, what Nanaya has always said is that, do you know Kabutey My MC? That's Nanaya's MC. Do you understand?
Okay.
So you take ownership of me without even intending to.
That's nice.
So created the page. Long story short, I went to work, came back after lunch around 1:30. Out of curiosity, I went back to Facebook and I had my first client within like 5 hours. So yeah, my first event was 30th April 2011. For Myra and Fred, I say thank you to them every single day because, there was really nothing to show that I could do what I wanted. But what Myra said at the time was that she had been to too many events which had gone wrong because of some family member or some cousin, and she didn't want that. So she had been asking around for whether there was anybody who does this professionally, and she couldn't find anybody. So out of desperation, that same day, she also went on Facebook and just typed MCs in Ghana. My page popped up, and that was it.
Wow.
That's good to know.
When Grace finds you.
If you dodge, it'll still find you.
Yeah, so
but you've mentioned 11 years, over 1,200.
Almost 1,200.
Almost 1,200. What's the nice thing about being an MC, and what's the other thing that you don't like about being an MC?
Well, number one, it's many things, but number one, I really, really, really love what I do. I really love what I do.
Okay.
I enjoy it. It's something that I could easily do for free, just because of how much I do enjoy what I do. Because when I started, it wasn't about anything else except giving the couple a valuable, worthy memory for such a special day in their lives. You understand? But then as time went on, it expanded. So for me, it's an opportunity to be a part of the important dates and milestones for individuals, for celebrants, for companies, and it means the world to me. Every time they think about the most important days and milestones and celebrations, they get to remember me and see me as part of their family, whether it's an individual's family or a corporate family. So for me, that's one thing. Number two, obviously, it is rewarding. It has become also, a viable income stream that supports me as well and my family. So that's something I value very much. Number three, I love to have fun. I'm a creative person. I love all things creative. Music, dance, theater, poetry, films. I love all things, art. So to be in an environment where I get to enjoy, as it were, a free party and be a part of curating that party and making it, as memorable as it needs to be, it is absolutely valuable for me. So in many different ways, I don't really see a minus about it, apart from maybe time away from the family, especially now that, by God's grace, it's become a significant thing for me. So I don't remember the last time I was a guest at an event. I honestly don't remember.
You don't tell people's events too.
I honestly don't remember the last time. I've had to even miss some, key family celebrations because what happens is that a lot of guests book in advance.
Yeah.
Nowadays, because of social media and how it has supported and promoted, our services. And for me as an MC, you have the chance to only do one event on a particular day.
Yeah.
You understand? And people kind of recognize that.
Yeah.
So if you want a particular person to be a part of your event, then you have to book early. So nowadays you have clients booking as early as 6 to 12, 18 months ahead of time. So as I sit here, I have bookings for 2024. Sometimes it beats my imagination. Honestly, it really beats my imagination. But yeah, it's a blessing.
That's very good. Was it easy for you, since your first degree is biochemical?
Yes. My first degree is biochemistry. My master's degree is food science and technology.
Was it easy for you? Because doing bio, you're a science bias. Why would you say you are dropping the science bias to come and
I know. Well,
was it challenging?
Okay.
I want to know, was it challenging at that time to drop that?
So, whenever I look at my CV, I have a good laugh. And I can understand when somebody outside of me is looking at my CV because it looks like a, 180 degree departure. However, for me, living the experience and the transition from my science into my arts craft today, it was really seamless for me because it wasn't like an intentional, strategized decision to move from science into arts. I was at the time working with a consulting firm with my biochemistry and food science degrees and doing my science work. And then on weekends or out of work, I get the chance to do my event. So it was more or less started like a hobby kind of thing, you understand? And then that hobby started becoming more significant and more valuable and more recognized and more appreciated. And so over time, the demands of that on my time and my availability began to conflict with what I was doing as my full-time job. So at a certain point, I think about 3-4 years into, 2 years into Emceeing. The funny thing is, I started Emceeing the exact same year I joined Roverman Productions.
Okay.
That's an interesting part of my unique story with Emceeing. So I started Emceeing in January. My first client call came in January 2011. In end of January 2011, I went for my first audition with Roverman Productions, Uncle Ebo White.
Yeah.
And I got accepted in there. So what happens is I go to my regular, consulting job, morning, Monday to Friday. Then weekends, I go for rehearsals with Roverman Productions. And then if I have an event, I go and do my event.
That's a lot on your hand.
Those two were kind of like hobbies at the time.
Okay.
But as they grew, as the demands became more and more, and fortunately, I was blessed to be given a lot of opportunity at Roverman. So that also started taking a lot of my time. And Roverman is a huge and a big platform, very respected. So that also, cast a very positive light on my events and my emceeing work as well. So I got, more in demand. And at some point, I quit my full-time job, not because of it, for unrelated reasons.
Okay.
But then, I joined Roverman Productions full-time as head of business development.
Okay.
And also doing my emceeing.
Okay.
And then at a certain point,
Well, I understand we have Nathantor on joining us for this particular conversation. I think it's on Zoom. Hello, good afternoon, Nathantor, and thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Anyami?
Nathaniel, can you please unmute?
Yeah, unmute yourself so we can hear you. Okay, so we have him on. He's another great MC. In Ghana now, he's like the MC for boxing. He's yeah, he's a big man when it comes to that. Want to understand his thoughts also
Okay, I
about
think
that.
Nathaniel
Yeah, we have him back.
is back.
Okay, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us here on Entertainment Review. Hello.
Can you unmute yourself?
Okay. I guess we're going to work on that
Yeah.
and have him join us later. But now the biggest thing is about weddings. Every Saturday there's a wedding. How do you prepare yourself and try to be unique from this wedding to the other wedding?
Yeah.
Okay, so number one, weddings are not really the biggest events. I'll be honest with you. Weddings are not really the biggest events.
Okay.
The biggest events are milestone birthdays.
Oh, okay.
Because I mean, let's analyze it. How many times will an individual get married in their lifetime?
Okay.
Hopefully once. Okay. How many milestones would you celebrate for your birthday? The average person may celebrate 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. That's 6 parties for one individual. You understand what I mean? So I actually do a lot more mature birthday celebrations and corporate parties than I do weddings. The only thing is that weddings naturally are a bit more loud. And because social media is more youthful, and it's, people who are either want to have a wedding or have just had a wedding or are interested in everybody's wedding.
Yeah.
So those ones tend to get a lot more, mileage and a lot more conversations around them. And then also for the mature parties, people like to respect their privacy.
Okay.
So you don't get to,
Video,
put out and as much material as with the weddings.
So how do you prepare yourself?
So that's
for
number
it?
one.
Yeah.
Well, the truth is that for me, I come not to work on your event. I come to be a part of your event. So the important difference that makes is that I'm not just coming as a service provider on a transactional basis and then I'm gone, which then will make it very easy from one event to the other. All right. However, I try to be very much more bespoke. I try to be intentional for the event to reflect the personality of the celebrant or the company, the image behind that event. Because the truth is, as an MC, what you are actually doing in that moment in time is that you are representing the person or the company for the purpose of the event. So you have to represent it as authentically as that person would have represented it by themselves.
Okay, so let's get back onto Zoom and sorry to cut in. Get back onto Zoom and speak to Nathaniel Arthur. Hello, good afternoon, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, good afternoon. Good to be here.
Anyami? What's up, Nat? Kabutey here.
Yeah, man. Charlie, great conversation you guys are having there. Greetings to all of you. And Kabutey hasn't told you, but there are some of the conversations we can't have on the TV. So
be careful, my brother. Be careful.
So, Mr. Arthur, we just want to find out how Emceeing has grown for you since you began to date. Just walk us through that, and then we can move on to some other things.
Well, mine more or less started, on an informal note when I was in St. Augustine's. I was doing a lot of public speech. I was a prefect. I was the vice president of GUNSA. I was the regional vice president of GUNSA as well. Sorry, regional organizing secretary of GUNSA as well. That demanded a lot of, public speaking. And so as time went on, I branched into, emceeing events. Interestingly, when I was in St. Augustine's, I didn't do much of emceeing of our events, like you go to like entertainment and all of that. I was rather cracking. I was rather dancing.
Okay.
Yeah. I met the best dancer in my year. But let's not go into the details of that one. I know. So, as time went on, I found myself at the stage where I had the talent. I knew that I could do 3 billion times more than the people I used to see around. But then you also needed the opportunities. You needed somebody to believe in your skill. You needed somebody to have seen you somewhere to take that decision that this is the man to do it. So one of the days that represented a turnaround for me was when I had to, stand to the occasion when we attended a family member's 80th birthday celebration. This was between the late 90s and early 2000s. And I mean, first person came in to stand in for the person who was supposed to be there. He was late. When he came in, he didn't deliver very well. And I told them, look, I could do this, okay? And one of my aunties just said to me, you know what? Okay, let's just give you the opportunity. And I mean, that day was awesome. And that day I was in the company of my late dad, God bless his soul. Dr. Atto was a very critical person. He just didn't take anything at all. So in terms of quality, his standards were way up there, if you understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And so you needed to be 300% perfect to get his attention, or you needed to be up there 3 million times to get his attention. And so it became very, very difficult to just do anything and say, I want to get your rating or I want to get your blessing. But that day, interestingly, he gave me very high ratings. And I was like, oh, okay. So there we go. I wasn't so bad after all. So after that, I started building on it. When I got into mainstream journalism as well, I started pushing very hard to get, the opportunities. And look, it's difficult. There are days when people know, they know you, they know you're pretty okay, but then taking that decision to give you an event where they're going to have VIPs and all of that, especially when they cannot vouch for it, is a very, very difficult thing.
Yeah.
So I also had the people who believed in my skill and my talent and were ready to give me the opportunities. And look, it's been an amazing journey so far. I'm a versatile brand, and that's the reason why you see me cutting through social and corporate events. And even with, the social events, you're branching into areas like boxing ring announcing and all of that. And gladly, I've been recognized by the legendary, Michael Buffer and all that. So it's been a very rewarding journey as well.
Okay.
But it's just to say that, you get a lot of people who come up to you and say they want to be like you and all of that. And, that the standard is to be like me and more. You get it. To be like me and more. To be, to get it right. Get your language right. Get the skill of identifying with your audiences right.
Okay.
So that every other time when you step behind a lectern or you step on the stage or you pick up a microphone, there's something special about you, and there's something that everybody wants to see every other time when they require somebody to steer an event.
Okay.
And for me, it has been a very fulfilling one for me. I can't say much.
Yeah, Mr. Atto, we really need you to join us, in studio. So we have to talk this for a very long time. But we really do appreciate your time.
Give me another invitation. We sure are going to,
Definitely.
But, just in case you want to know the accolade that Kabutey and I share, you can come over. Buy me a bottle of chilled Coca-Cola with lemon and I'll spill it out.
So there's one that is Mommy Tokilala. I don't know which one that is.
Hey, Mommy Tokilala. Now you are veering into areas you're not supposed to.
Please sign him off. Sign him
Thank
off.
you so much for joining us this afternoon. That was Nathantor, Atto, seasoned journalist and MC. Great guy. And of course, you had we'll bring him into the studio so we can have more on this. Kabutey, you were making a point, but I want to ask, how much has the creative arts industry become so important because of Emceeing, in your opinion?
Well, events have become more significant. Events have come to represent more than just a forgettable experience. Now events are even moving from the regular definition of events to experiences.
Okay.
That's what people want. And so the demands on, on all who are going to be a part of fulfilling that and making that objective come to pass is even more heightened now. So the days of an MC being just an announcer are way long gone. You know, the MC needs to be as experiential as possible. They need to capture the personalities involved. They need to capture the values of the company they are representing. They need to be able to generate the kind of emotion, excitement, or, you know, that is required to represent that particular event that they are hosting. So just as much as the whole society is moving more towards experiences, towards nobody wants to waste their time anywhere anymore. If they are going to show up for something, they want it to be worth their while. So by virtue of that, the emceeing being an integral part of delivering events has also become much more relevant and much more important. So you can't take it for granted that I've done this so and so times, and so you just show up and get it done. No, the background work needs to be done. The research needs to be done. You know, the rehearsals that nobody sees needs to be done. The articulation, getting the details, you know, having the right energy and curating it the way it needs to be done. But I will agree that, yes, the craft of being an MC has become very valuable and very important within the wider scheme of our creative industry, yes.
But then, do you think the Ghanaian creative space, that's emceeing, let's say, fashion, music, modeling, do you believe that the government has to get involved, has to put in an all-round investment to make sure that we reap? Because now the government has done well with tourism. As much as it wasn't at first, tourism wasn't that big. But for some 5 years now, tourism has become
a huge thing, yeah.
Do you believe that if the government or even the frontiers turn to investors to look into this whole creative art, it's really going to help?
I think it is only natural that the government cannot always predict the future sequence. So if you look in any area or endeavor of life, you would notice that private entrepreneurs start their business in an area, and then when it begins to generate momentum, government then comes in to be either a regulator or a facilitator, a promoter of that. So I think that's what has happened as far as, you know, the creative space is concerned. A lot more attention has been brought to it. You know, time passed, the creative space was not valued. Even being a singer, even being a sports person, you know, even being an actor was not valued. Today, obviously, it is much more valued than it used to be. And now people are also realizing the power that the creative industry has to influence change and to make a difference in the society at large. It's important for people to be entertained. It is an important part of national security, if you ask me, for people to be entertained. Because the honest truth, an environment or a society that does not have viable and quality entertainment is an environment that is whose people are frustrated to the hilt, whose people have no way of diffusing their dissatisfaction, their anxiety, and therefore they are more prone to expressing it in more, you know, uncomplimentary ways. So it is an intentional, you know, system that creates opportunity for relaxation, for entertainment, for leisure. And when you do that, it naturally curates opportunities for cultural experience, for community building. It creates opportunities for income generation as well. Because it is only then that you would realize that people have skills that the environment probably does not have the training system to support it. You know, nobody, you know, trained me, if you know, quote and unquote, to become an MC. But you would realize today that myself and other people who have had the opportunity of taking the lead in the industry are creating an opportunity to train other people. Makeup was something nobody considered as an important thing. Today, there are university courses for makeup. So a day will come, there will be a university course for being an MC. Okay? But it's not just cast in stone, because the creative field is such that you are blessed in a range. That's why most people who can speak will do acting, will do, you know, voiceovers, will do emceeing, and then it kind of, you know, all comes together.
I mean, we'll have Kabutey here again by next week, Wednesday, same time. Maybe we'll have Nathantor Arthur in the building to tell us. But then before you go, has anybody been dissatisfied with your service before?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, definitely, you are not nobody is 100% cast in stone. I'll be honest in saying that I haven't had too
Many.
you know, like negative experiences. But every now and again, it's important to me to engage with the clients after an event to get real feedback from them. So yes, every now and again, there might be an issue. Sometimes it may be as trivial as the color you wore. I wish you had worn a different color. You know, sometimes it's even as so much that why were the people so excited about you? They should have been excited about
the couple.
about you know me or that
that's
kind of
serious.
thing.
You
So it's
overshadowed
all,
them,
but it's
yeah.
all part of it. It
Yeah.
is all part of it. The good thing is that for you can't stay this long without taking feedback, however you consider it negative. And the truth is, we only build up because of what we consider as the negative feedback. Because otherwise, we'll just float around as though we are perfect, but we're
Wow.
definitely not perfect.
I mean, we've had a wonderful show
I mean,
today, but then we
for
have
me
to,
in that field, I mean,
yeah, I
it's
understand.
great
But we have
listening
to,
to
but
yeah.
next week we will be touching on the conversation that even if the government doesn't come in, even if they won't be the frontiers to go and help get investment, how can the creative
No, I think the
artists
government
help?
should definitely come in because
But-
look, simple things like creating event spaces, multi-purpose event spaces. You know,
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
go to Cape Town, there's a Cape Town International Conference Center, which is
I mean,
a huge. I mean, I could go
I
on.
tell you
Yeah,
some,
all
but
right,
then we'll
all
talk
right.
about all of
That's
that.
fine.
Even
Yeah,
I was
that's
saying,
fine.
even if they don't come in, how can we generate
Sure.
the income, the
Sure.
revenue by ourselves?
Sure.
That's in the creative space.
Yeah.
But
then,
thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. I mean, we've had fun. We had Nathantor Ato joining
Yeah.
and to share his experience. And Kabutey Okanti, it's nice to meet you. But then we have to wrap up. My name is Danaya Tanobwache, and I did this with
That's one of Kreku Dance.